dealing with disrespectful kids and it's driving you crazy? Well, today I'm going to talk about why this is happening and how we can work with this, right? So, one of the biggest things that parents come and talk to me about is disrespect. That we're our kids are disrespecting us and it feels so frustrating and so irritating. And I want to talk to you about why this is happening. So, what is disrespect? First of all, it's kind of when our kids talk to us with an attitude, or maybe they're not listening to what we say, and we find it really frustrating. They kind of come back with something sassy and saucy, and you're like, "What happened here? How did I raise this child?" Right? And there's a couple things at work here. One is that we don't realize it, but we all come from a mindset and a culture where we expect we're still in this, like, we're in this kind of authoritarian culture, father knows best culture, where we kind of expect this instant obedience from our kids, yet we want to also have a relationship with them that's cooperative. And kind of these things don't mesh. So what happens is our kids are being disrespectful because of a few things. They're mimicking and modeling the language that we use. And you might say, I'm not using mean, nasty language to my kids, but chances are, if you pay attention and listen to yourself for a week, you're probably using a lot of orders and commands. So what happens is we talk to our kids and we say, put on your shoes, do the dishes, pick up your towel, take off your shoes, get in the car. And all of these are orders and commands. And then we start to repeat those because our, it doesn't work. And it doesn't work because kids are like any other human beings. They don't like being ordered around. So they resist the orders. So then we repeat ourselves and we repeat ourselves, and then we're yelling. And that doesn't work because our kids can't learn when they're yelling. Just like when we're yelling, just like us, our kids' biological nervous system stress response starts like firing off because you're yelling and you're scary and it feels like a threat to them. And what happens with that is that nervous system response literally cuts off access to all the other rational, thoughtful parts of their brain, and they literally it bypasses those parts of the brain. The brain gets hijacked and they literally cannot learn whatever you were trying to teach them in that moment. So the commands don't work and the yelling doesn't work. And so, what about this like disrespectful thing? So, kids learn, if we have been using a model of the one with the most power wins, and if I yell the loudest, if I say it the most, and I threaten to take something away, if that we've been using that model, what we're going to see sooner or later is we're going to see our kids mirroring that back right back to us, right? So they're going to be mirroring back like commands and orders, and they're going to be ordering their little brother or sister around. um, so we're going to start to see that back, and then we start to say, what happened? Right? What a mess. So, the counterintuitive fix to this is to stop issuing commands. We have to start to pay attention to how we're saying things and stop just issuing orders and commands. And commands are one of the six communication barriers that I teach inside of mindful parenting. And commands are a big one that we use a lot. So, I invite you to stop issuing commands. Start to listen for yourself issuing those commands, and they may seem really innocuous, but we can stop issuing these commands. And then also don't match their resistance. So if you have a disrespectful kid, they're resisting the way that you're communicating with them. So they're like bringing this, and if you bring this, then you're just in a fight, and that doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help anyone. So instead, the counterintuitive fix to that is to don't match their resistance, to step back And to start to shift your language, how would you make a request to your respected auntie or your mom if you were asking her to put on her shoes to go somewhere? So, in order to kind of listen for this, what I want you to do this week is I want you to listen for your language. Are you issuing orders and commands? A lot of times we don't even realize that we're doing it. Most of the time, members don't even realize that they're using these communication barriers when we start to learn about them in mindful parenting. So I want you to really listen for that this week, and then know that as you're hearing yourself do that, not, oh my gosh, I'm a terrible parent, this is what's wrong with me. It's, oh, aha, there it is. And you can't fix what you don't know is there. So you're going to start to learn and see that it's there and start to learn that this is a new language. The language of creating communication in relationship with our kids is a totally different language. It's like learning Korean if you're a native English speaker. It's a completely different language from our our own roots, like of authoritarian, do this because I say you do this. It's a totally different language. But the beauty about the language of mindful parenting, and mindful parenting brings together all that inner work that we need to make these changes to steady our hearts and minds with that communication work. And the beauty of learning this new language is that instead of having to raise our voice louder and louder and louder as time goes on, and upping our threats more and more, parenting gets easier and easier as your relationship goes on, because your kids learn to trust you and you learn to trust your kids, and it's a beautiful thing. So listen for that this week. Are you issuing orders? And let me know what you discover. I'd love to know. And if you're dealing with disrespectful kids, this might be the start of the change. So if you would like more resources though for it, I have them for you. You can go to mindfulmamamentor.com/stop yelling. I'll give you the 2 best mind body tools that I have to help you stop yelling, because if we're modeling yelling, our kids are just going to yell back at us, and isn't that disrespectful? So we want to stop yelling. And you'll also get the free mindful parenting roadmap. So go check that out, and I hope this has been helpful. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.